everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker, joined by producer Katie. Good morning, producer Katie.
Good morning, Kyle.
We are here on Father's Day. A happy Father's Day to everyone. Yes, we're laughing because this is already our second take at just getting through the intro to this show. So we're clearly rocking it. Yeah, we're rocking this morning. But hey, a happy Father's Day to all you run dads out there. Hope you celebrate however you see fit. I think I'm going to Buffalo Wild Wings personally because I haven't been there in a while and they have new flavors of sauce. So I'm so excited. Don't shake your head at me.
Sounds amazing.
I know
I stopped going a long time ago.
Yeah, you hate Buffalo Wild Wings. That's your fault. But anyway, how are you celebrating with your father today, Katie? You taking your old man out for anything nice?
My father has asked that no children be anywhere near him. So I'm doing him a solid.
I would say that's correct. I like it. I like it a lot.
Although I did buy him a hanging basket though, because he loves plants and I think it'll be lovely in his yard. And he's really not that mean and he's really a great dad. So happy Father's Day, Dad.
There you go. There's the ringing endorsement of the holiday. Well, for us, it was... Well, wait. Before I go into that, Katie, I wanted to ask you a question. What is better?
Okay.
What is better than a one-race weekend?
A two-race weekend?
That's correct. Way to go. Good job. Good job. Yes, it was a two-race weekend for us here at the Back of the Pack podcast. Saturday was the Fighting Fentanyl 5K, which was lovely, and we'll dig into that event here in a minute. And then this morning, we had the Father's Day Superhero Run, which was out at the old Sprint campus, and then the T-Mobile campus, then the somebody else's campus, and now it's your campus, my campus, whoever's campus. If you want it, you could probably get your name on it somewhere. But it's in Overland Park, and so it was really funny, the vast difference in the days. So Saturday morning, I mean, it wasn't as hot as last year, but it was warmly. We had a warm race.
It was.
Yeah, partly sunny, partly cloudy, hot and humid. Today, it is in the mid-60s, and it rained on us the entire time. So, I don't know. I mean, you got to love the Midwest. The weather is amazing. So, Katie, you were out at the Fighting Fentanyl 5K.
I was.
Yeah. What did you think of the event? This is now your second year being there.
I mean, I think it was great. I think that they do such a good job through such a very difficult situation because for those who don't know what this race is about, the Davis family lost their son Cooper 2 years ago in December, and they have made it their life's work at this point to stop this crazy fentanyl surge into the United States and trying to help save our kids, which is just the most amazing cause that, you know, there can be helping our kids always, right? So this is all about that. And it's about memorializing Cooper. And so, gosh, you know, their support out there, like their family, their friends, the people that they work with, everybody comes out to support them. And it's so just like, it just gets you like in the feels, like 1,000,000%. And just, it's nice to see that. It's heartwarming for sure.
It is. Now, one of the things I've always prided myself on this podcast, doesn't matter the race company, it doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter anything because we have no partnerships really with anyone. We're not owned by anyone here. We do our thing. Katie, this is going to shock you, but I have a criticism of that race.
My God.
I am going to throw out a criticism to the folks at the Fighting Fentanyl 5K. Now, to be fair, before people really start, coming after me with the torches and pitchforks, this is the most amazing and wonderful criticism that you can have of a race. You guys have gotten too big. Now, let me say this. The reason I say you have gotten too big is the majority of the race takes place on a paved bike trail. You too many runners. We can't all fit on that bike trail anymore. Which, again, this is a great problem to have. You guys now, the good folks at the Fighting Fentanyl 5K and Keeping Clean for Coop, you need to actually research the possibility of doing a full-blown road race because you've gotten too big. We can't do the pink bike trails anymore. We were tripping all over each other out there on that trail. It was just too full of bodies. And again, I love it. Like, I think that's the best problem a race can have, is that you've gotten so big, you might need to look at changing your course just to accommodate all the runners. But yeah, it was wild. I had a great time. That is a great race and such a worthy cause. And for it being only their second year, they do an amazing job. You would think they've been doing this forever in organizing races and the way they've got it all prepared and put together. The vendors that come out, it's timed correctly. The course is set up. It's marked. Again, there's none of that learning curve. They have come out of the gate swinging from last year to this year, and they do an amazing job. Wonderful cause. A huge shout out to our Casey Hustle Club members and Back of the Pack supporters who were at the race. I asked for folks to come out there. People showed up. That was wonderful. And then, I think they said there were over 700 runners. And again, not registered. I think they were thinking like 700 runners were there. And it seemed like every bit of 700 runners at that race. So they did great. And, Katie doesn't toot her own horn often, but she should. After last year's race, she did their website for them for a full year, got them all up and running and good to go. So Katie, I know you have been invested in this cause for the last year, and I'm sure you can attest that, like, these guys, they're up and comers. Let's say the stuff that Libby and all them are doing, I think they're only just getting started. Like, I think you're going to see them on national news here at some point in time, I would imagine. You agree with me on that one?
They've already been on national news. Yeah. I mean,
there we go.
Libby goes, she's been invited to the DEA summits, and she goes out there. Nobody ever wants to see their kid's picture up on a wall for their death. But Cooper's picture is actually in, I think it's Washington, the headquarters for DEA. He's up on the wall there. And I mean, as much as you never want to see that, like, such a great memorial to him, but the Davises, they're hungry to help fix this problem. I mean, there's not a better word for it. They are hungry to fix this problem, and they're just, I have such great respect for them. So no,
and you touched on it earlier, and I'm going to second that. Like, I every time we get close to this race, or we've had them on the show, they've been on twice now, I kind of, think to myself, if this were one of my kids, God forbid, but could I live in this? Because they live in it every day. And could I do that? And I mean, most of the time I've come up with the answer of no. I couldn't do what they do. Like, it takes a special kind of strong and a special kind of desire to help others at this point that, like, man, I couldn't imagine making that my life's work and having to live in it every day. But they do, and they are crushing it. Absolutely crushing it. So right now, I want you guys to take a look. So producer Katie has put a little piece together for the Fighting Fentanyl 5K. And before we move on in the show, I want you guys to check this out right now. So here's a little video for you watching on YouTube.
In fact, there are many families joining us today who have also experienced a loss like ours. So I want to thank them for coming out and being with us today. We're all here to share our stories with you, because we don't want something like this to happen to any other family, and for any other family to be shattered the way that our families have been shattered. A few weeks ago, I participated in a roundtable discussion with various law enforcement, medical professionals, and schools. And one of the things I always like to share with people is that fentanyl doesn't discriminate. This can happen to anyone's family. And unfortunately, I heard the most frightening example of that. So I want to introduce someone. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Sean Campini. I am a senior special agent with the Kansas Drugs Investigation, focusing on fighting the war against drugs. On April 21st of this year, I lost that battle to my son. My son took half a pill of fentanyl and died almost instantly. So thank you all for being here and supporting this initiative and this education. So we need to get the word out. Thank you.
So if that example doesn't drive home the message that fentanyl doesn't discriminate, then I don't know what will. We said this last year, but we consider today a day of awareness that's disguised as a 5K. And what we really want to come out of this is that everyone learns something about this fentanyl epidemic. So pay attention along the course. You'll see signs. They're each marked with a balloon, but we want you to take this information in, and then we want you to share it. So lastly, we know that without the support of our families, friends, and community, we would not be able to accomplish all that we have in becoming a 501c3 and sharing Cooper's story with over 12,000 students and families this last year. Cooper is still at the center. He's the center of our family. We will continue to use our voices to share his story, to make good things happen, and to help stop the fentanyl epidemic. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
This is an accident waiting to happen. Thanks, Randy. Oh, wow, look at all those people back there. Hey, can you hear me back there? When you hear the sound of the blowhorn, you are free to go. Have a safe race. Thank you.
All right, Katie, what are we going to do about these non-YouTube people?
I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of our fault. We took forever to get on YouTube, really.
Yeah, we did. All right. Well, so listen here, podcast world. If you are still listening in and you're in the podcast stuff, if we played the video for you right now, it wouldn't make a lick of sense. You would just be getting a lot of background noise. But I do highly suggest you go to YouTube, search up Back of the Pack podcast. We're the only ones really out there. Easy to find us with our teal logo. And go check out this episode, which again, it's June 18th, 2023. And check out that video because there's a lot of really good stuff. You'll hear the speech done at the start of the race. You'll see a lot of the footage. And then you might even see a familiar face or two when you watch the video. Oh, you know what? I just totally did that. I smiled into the camera, but I'm talking to the podcast listeners. You didn't even see me smile. You missed the golden smile. Oh my, I don't know what to do with these people.
See, that's either a really good reason to go right now and watch it on YouTube or to never go to YouTube and watch this ever.
Yeah, it might also be a good reason to like smash your phone with a hammer so you can never see what just happened.
It was pretty cheesy. I gotta say.
Yeah, no, full of cheese.
Cheesy.
All right, so now we're gonna segue out of this. All All right, guys. So that was the video that Katie shot. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It is good stuff. And next year, like for serious, next year, I know there might be a competing race that day. It's the Midwest and it's June. There's 20 races every weekend. But if you haven't done it yet, I really suggest you guys come do the Fighting Fentanyl 5K with us. It'll be the 3rd annual next year. I'm sure right around the same time, mid-June. And you're in for a treat when you do that race. And then we're going to go to them and see if maybe we can't get a little bit of a wider course. So, all right, moving on from there. This morning, the Father's Day superhero run at the to be named later campus, whatever they're calling it these days. Aspira now, I think it is. Aspira campus? Maybe? Sounds right. It's as good as anything else. I don't know why I'm picking on them so much today, but I am. It was a great race. Some might disagree with me. It was a great race for me personally. So I went and did the math. After 13 and a half years and 125 races, 5Ks. This was 5K number 125 for me. I finally broke 30 minutes. Yay, me. I have been chasing 30 minutes ever since I started. There's your round of applause. Got to get that dad joke in on Father's Day.
Glad you caught that.
Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, so not to make this a me conversation, but I am quite pleased that I was finally able to get that knocked out. So what that really should tell you is the course for the Father's Day superhero run, not incredibly difficult. And we had perfect running conditions. Yes, it was raining, but it wasn't pouring and it wasn't hot. It was mid 60s with rain, not a lot of wind. So that actually really helped. No one was overheating out there. It was really funny when I ran by the aid station, nobody had touched a cup of water. I swear I had to have been the first person that actually picked up a cup of water because they were all just sitting there right in a row and they weren't standing there handing them out. You could see, I think it was a mother-daughter combo. They just had all the cups filled and like we're sitting on the table and they were just waiting for people to take them. And like, I swear I took the first one. So that kind of cracked me up. But again, it was raining. People didn't feel very thirsty. So fine, don't take water. Leave more for me. But yeah, that was the only time that I really slowed down in that race. I was feeling good. I guess running a 5K the day before did wonders for me. But now let's talk real quick about you yahoos and chuckleheads out there who made me look real bad this weekend. So Katie, there was a really big marathon that happened yesterday. And I've done this race before years ago, the Grandma's Marathon up in Duluth, Minnesota. And then yesterday, one of the competing races was the Clinton Historic Half Marathon in Clinton, Missouri. So there were people who were doing full marathons, half marathons on Saturday, and were still showing up to do the 5K here Sunday morning. There were people, and I am thinking of one, Mr. Josh, who ran a full marathon Saturday morning in Duluth, Minnesota, hopped in the car, and we're running the Father's Day Superhero 5K in Overland Park, Kansas, Sunday morning.
That sounds like injury waiting to happen.
And to make it worse, and again, I know several of you people did this, because I did it when I did Grandma's Marathon. You can also do a 5K the night before the race, and that's called the Great Grandma's Challenge. So a Friday night 5K, a Saturday morning full marathon, and then, you know, what the heck, I'll have a air quotes inserted, shakeout run Sunday morning at a 5K. That is a level of insanity that even I have yet to accomplish. But to all of you people who did, good job, you crazy blankety blanks. Jeez Louise. So if you were in Clinton, Missouri doing that race Saturday morning, and then you were here, great job, Cody. If you were in Duluth doing anything up there, the half of the full, come down here and doing the race on Sunday, good job out of you, you crazies. But yeah, it was definitely a race heavy weekend. I'd say around town, but everyone was coming from Minnesota, so I don't know what we're gonna do with that. Katie, you ever been to Minnesota?
I've actually never been to Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Not a little.
Yeah. If anyone is wanting a marathon to do or a half, Grandma's Marathon is super fun. Like I said, I've done it. Did it in 2019, I think. Duluth, Minnesota is really nice. great weather up there because it never gets too terribly hot. And yeah, it's a fun race, but you have to sign up for it quickly because it sells out fast. The half marathon portion of it sells out the day it's open. So you have to get it the day of, or you will not get a spot in that race. But yep, so that is that. Now let's well, I guess we'll just kind of jump in. I didn't really have a great topic today, but fortunately the good folks at the Boston Marathon took care of that. No, I'm not going back to Boston. No, I'm not doing an episode about the actual race or my experience of it. No, I'm not trying to get a charity bib, but it is the biggest race. They did have some news updates this week. Katie, giving me all the dirty looks. Would you rather I talk about the New York Marathon?
Do you know, he doesn't tell me what he's going to talk about before we go to record. And I feel like there's a reason for that. So if you are seeing my face right now,
And if you're on the YouTube channel, you sure are.
you know, he either brought up the New York Marathon or the Boston Marathon. And I'm just going to hang my head now because just.
Oh, you poor thing. Poor thing. All right, so let's go over the news real quick because this does pertain to people. And the reason it actually is a little topical this weekend, the Grandma's Marathon is a huge Boston qualifying race. Tons of people Boston qualify at Grandma's. Several of our local runners did. I saw the Instagram stories. Huge congrats to all those who got a BQ. And I know one of our listeners was up there. Well, I know she listens sometimes. Super fast runner. I heard tale today that the Boston qualifying time was missed by like a minute and a half. I am so sorry. But you know what? Use that as motivation. Use it as motivation. Don't dwell on that because that has to be gut-wrenching. I understand. But you know what? Come back stronger. And I have no doubt that you're going to get this knocked out. So, you know, the Boston qualifying, again, I was a charity bib. And while raising that charity money was horrible and was a pain, it was difficult. And I still feel like even doing all of that, I kind of had my little place. But you BQers, you Boston qualifiers, y'all some bad mofos. And even if you're close, you are still infinitely faster than I will ever be. So
That is true.
it is all the truth. All right. So just this week, Boston put out all their information for this year's race. So if you are looking to do the 2024 Boston Marathon, registration begins on September 11th and it closes on September 15th. So that is not a big window. Normally, I think their window is a full week long. They've shortened that. So again, that is just something to keep in mind when you're thinking on if you're going to do Boston or not, okay? So the field size this year is at 30,000 runners. I think that's down. I think it is down from previous. And then the 2024 race will take place on April 15th. Good way to celebrate tax day, I guess. And then the registration, of course, takes place at baa.org. So those are just some of the real pertinent information, that you'll need. Again, I know it's not until September, but they change their rules kind of every year on when registration is, and then of course the time that you have to do it. So I want to go down here, Katie. I'm gonna test your knowledge here. If you were me, okay, if you were a male between the age of 40 and 44, and you had to run a full marathon to qualify for Boston, what do you think the time is that you have to be under to qualify? Take a guess.
I don't know what a slow marathon is, let alone
I'm a slow marathon.
I don't remember what your time
Okay,
was.
so
Was it like
my time.
freaking hours or something? I don't.
Oh, okay. I resemble that remark. No, my time was 5 hours and 49 minutes at the Boston Marathon, and that's me. You've met me. So if you were a physically fit athlete, so again, not me, who had to qualify for Boston, what do you think the time would be?
2
If
hours.
you were between the age of 40 and 44.
2 hours.
Okay, well, Eula Kipchoge is the only person to ever come in under 2 hours, but you're close.
Oh, okay.
No, so all right, here we go. I'll just give you the breakdown. So wherever this might pertain in your life. All right, if you are a man age 18 to 34, your qualifying time is now 3 hours. 3 hours flat. Women 18 to 34, 3 hours and 30 minutes. If you are a man, 35 to 39, 3 hours and 5 minutes. Ladies, 3:35. If you are my age, if you are between 40 and 44, get on your horse and get that 3 hours and 10 minutes. Ladies, you are 3:40. 45 to 49, 3:20 for the gentlemen, 3:50 for the ladies. Men 50 to 54, 3:25. And then ladies are 3:55. 55 to 59, 3:35. Ladies 4:05. 60 to 64, 3:50. So Katie, if you're between the age of 60 to 64, if you're getting close to retirement age and you are a man, you still have to run a Boston Marathon qualifying race in 3 hours and 50 minutes, and ladies are 4 hours and 20 minutes. Do you see? Do you see why a charity bib was my only hope?
Oh, 1,000%. And I think you need to take this moment and thank those people who gave you money for that again, because you were never going to see that.
To all of our wonderful listeners who donated to my Boston event last, I think September through April, thank you guys so much, because these qualifying times are ridiculous. And look,
that's insane.
Isn't it though? And there were people who Boston qualified all over the place yesterday at Grandma's Marathon. You guys are awesome. Like, seriously, I am in awe of your ability to run these races. I did not check on our buddy Eddie, but I'm sure Eddie did. But there were several other people who have followed the podcast in whatever capacity, who I know Boston qualified. You guys are monsters. You're absolute beasts, because these times, like, to me, who has done 9 full marathons, those times still don't feel real. Like, it doesn't feel real to me that someone can run that distance in those times. Now, granted, I am very slow. I understand this. That's why the Back of the Pack podcast exists, due to my slowness. But yeah, the speed in which these people do this is just flat insane. Like, I got nothing on that.
I can't imagine running that distance at all, let alone within like maybe a 24-hour period. So even your 5 hours to me is like amazing. So, yeah, you should be proud of yourself.
Well, hey, I mean, just finishing that race and being able to do Boston, I'm proud enough. But if you get a Boston qualifier, like, mad respect to all of you people who do that. You guys have really done something. That's insane. So they finish it up here. Runners younger than 18 aren't allowed to register for the marathon. A runner's age on the day of the marathon is the one that determines what age group standard that runner must meet. The qualification window for the 2024 Boston Marathon began on September 1, 2022, and will close at 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday, September 15th. If space is still available, registration will reopen on Monday the 17th. It will not. So what they have to do with Boston at times, even if you had that Boston qualifying time, if you are, let me get back to that real quick. So again, if I'm just using my age, if you're in the 40 to 44, 310 is the number. The closer you are to 310, the less likely you are to make it in. Now, if you are in my age group and your qualifying time is 310 and you bust out to 304, then your chances are better. But if they have reached the 30,000, they're going to take the faster times as opposed to the people who just skated in by maybe a couple seconds. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's how they do it. It's kind of worth noting, just so you're not surprised. We're like, well, I ran a 309.58. They said 310. I didn't make it in. Well, that's because the field filled up and they took the faster runners. You can argue if that's right, wrong, or indifferent. I kind of feel like the hell with the 30,000 cap. If you have Boston qualified, you should run Boston. Like, that's how I feel it. But that they don't care what I think. So what was that?
I'm not going to say anything. I could have totally said something. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, no, I think
I'm going to behave.
No, do it. Do it.
I was just going to say, nobody cares what you think, Kyle, but
whatever, Kyle. I understand.
See, that was even spiteful for me. And I don't want to be like that, Kyle.
No, you should feel terrible about yourself right now.
I do. I feel a little bad. Not terrible. A little bad.
All right. So here's what I did. This is what I did because I care about my listeners and I care about the people who want to do Boston, who don't want to raise an absolute truckload of money because, hey, I can tell you it's a little stressful. I went out and I have found a list of, I think it's 8 or 9 of what they consider the fastest marathons for Boston qualifying time. So these are the fastest races you can do if you want to qualify for Boston. I'm just going to go through them real quick. So first up is the Marquette Marathon in Marquette, Michigan. It is Saturday, September 2nd. Registration fee currently is $125. The scouting report, and this is all done by Runner's World. The point-to-point course drops 814 feet and runs alongside Lake Superior, ending at the Superior Dome on Northern Michigan University's campus. So it's a downhill. Great. All right, next is the Kauai Marathon in, I'm going to mess up the name, Kaloa, Hawaii. That is Sunday, September 3rd. Registration for that is $265. Ouch. And then the scouting report, it's hilly and humid. Given the challenges of the course, a BQ is far from a lock, but the scenery is stunning. Well, then why did you put it on the list of Boston qualifiers? Good grief. Okay, this one I've heard of before. This is the Rebel Big Cottonwood. This is in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, this one I've heard a lot of Boston qualifiers come out of. It is Sunday, September 9th. Registration is $115. The point-to-point course drops, holy cow, 5,255 feet along the route. So get your quads ready. The average finishing time is 4:03, and that is below U.S. standards. So there we go. The next one is the, Bibi Bikale Day International Peace Marathon. That is in Washington, D.C., Saturday, September 9th. Current registration is $90. This is a no-frills out and back on the canal path alongside the Potomac River. But in 2022, 21 of 118 marathoners ran a BQ. Okay, so this is if you like small races, yo. The next one, I've heard of this one. This is Last Chance BQ 2.2. It is in Geneva, Illinois, Saturday, September 9th, $155. This race is designed to get people into Boston. To that end, you have to already be close to the qualifying standard for your age group and gender by showing an almost result at a different marathon or a comparable half marathon time. I like it. And then there's another one, another Last Chance BQ.2. This is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Sunday, September 10th. Registration's $125. It's the same idea as the Chicagoland race, flat, fast, pacers for every group, but it's run by a different organization with a different registration platform. Okay, they don't see what that is, but cool. Next is Holland Haven Marathon in Holland, Michigan. Boy, everything seems to be kind of around Illinois and Michigan. Weird. Except for the Hawaii one. Maybe that one's not quite next door. Let's see. Yeah, not quite. This is Sunday, September 10th, $115. The point-to-point course along Lake Michigan is shady and flat. The race offers some unusual treats at aid stations, blueberries at mile 20, for instance, and candy and watermelon at mile 24. Okay. Tunnel Light Marathon. Tunnel Light Marathon, North Bend, Washington, Sunday, September 10th. Registration's $160. The course says it's over 20 miles of steady downhill, including a 2-mile run through a tunnel. The race also has dates on same course in June and August, but those won't give you an opportunity for double dipping. So the reason all these are in September is to help you, because if you qualify for a race in September, like that holds, that can be used for this year and holds for the next year. That's why all these are September races. Yeah, so that
makes sense.
Yeah, you can get one BQ that'll last you 2 years if you do it in September. Okay, so on this one, on the Tunnel Light Marathon, I know they also do it at a different point in the year. That's the Jack and Jill Marathon that we touched on a couple episodes ago. So Tunnel Light Marathon is the September version. Jack and Jill Marathon, I think, is the June version, but same course. The next one is the Erie Marathon. Ooh, Erie. In Erie, Pennsylvania, Sunday, September 10th. Current registration is $90. A 2-loop course is flat, shaded, has support every mile for runners. In 2022, 35% of the field qualified for Boston. So those are just some of the easier races that will also get you that double dip action. That will get you the 2 chances if you BQ in September You've got 2023, or I'm sorry, you got 2024, and I think also going into 2025. I think that math is correct. But me and math, not friends. I mean, I'm only a banker by day, so what do I know about numbers, right? So that laugh was delayed, but thank you for it anyway.
Okay.
All right. Well, fine. All right. Well, Katie, you know what? That's all I got. That's all we're going to cover on this episode. What do you got for us? Dazzle us with your brilliance or baffle us with your bull dinky? I was trying to watch my mouth.
When you put it like that, I got nothing. Like that's either setting me up for failure or setting me up for I don't even know. So I'm not even gonna try.
Huge success. All right. Well, you know what? Hey,
although I am wearing our Everyday We're Hustling shirt that is only available if you're a Hustle Club member.
That's right. And I'm wearing a hat that is available to me.
For nobody.
Yeah. Well, you don't want one of my old hats. No. I am wearing my Fighting Fentanyl 5K shirt.
Oh, nice. I could have worn that. Dang, what was I thinking?
There it is.
Look at you.
I know. That's how I do.
I got a Keeping Clean for Coop shirt yesterday, but I didn't wear it. That was on me.
Yeah.
That's on me.
Well, you should feel terrible.
You could mention that we got a new sponsor, and you could mention that really cool race we have coming up in September one more time.
We do have a really cool race coming up in September, and I was actually telling people about it this morning at the Father's Day race. But yes,
Yay.
the KC Hustle Run, it's coming up. We're under 100 days. Like if you don't have that marked on your calendar, then you've done something wrong in life, and you need to rectify that situation by signing up at kchustlerun.com and being there on Sunday, September 17th. Run a 5K, run a 10K. Come out, say hello, enjoy the vendor.
And it is in support of St. Jude Children's Research, and it is now sponsored by BNSF Railroad.
That's right. So BNSF, the railroad, they are now a big sponsor of the KC Hustle Run. So a huge thank you to them. And then that is a perfect segue. Next week's episode, the folks from St. Jude are back on the podcast. We're going to talk to them, and we're going to talk more about the race. We're going to talk about St. Jude Marathon weekend that is in Tennessee in December. So you guys are going to be able to learn a little bit more about that. And I know we have some listeners who are St. Jude heroes who raise funds to do that race every year. So, yep, they are back on the podcast next week. So make sure you tune in for that. And Katie, unless you got something else, I'm going to take it home and then go get some chicken.
Nope. Oh, and by the way, happy Father's Day, Kyle.
Oh, why, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, so that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. That is producer Katie. We are brought to you by OKKC Sports, and we will see you guys next week with the folks from St. Jude. So everyone stay cool as best you can. Have a good week of training, and we'll see you next weekend.
Bye.